Welcome back to Yoki's Kitchen. How y'all doing today? Y'all good? I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. So, where have I been? I did not know that fried catfish and spaghetti was a thing. Please let me know what I've been missing because I'm just blown away. It's not that it's my first time hearing about it. When I heard about it, I feel like I was like much later in life. I did not know that that was something that was paired as a meal. So with that being said, that is what we're doing today. We are doing a spaghetti and fried catfish. Now in my spaghetti, I'm gonna keep it really simple. I usually have a pretty busy spaghetti, but because we're pairing it with fried catfish, I don't want to make it too busy, but I am still going to incorporate just a little bit of, it's not going to be a basic spaghetti. So with that being said, let me tell you what I use in mine, or what we are going to use in this one. And we are going to start out with some mild Italian sausage. You can use sausage, pork, venison, whatever it is that you choose. Just pair it something with a heavier fattier content because I use lean ground beef. So this ground beef is 90-10. You can choose to use a higher fat content in your ground beef because you want it to be juicy. You don't want dry ground beef. So if you're going to use a very lean ground beef, make sure you have something to kind of balance that out so it's not all dried out. And we are using carbone. This is spaghetti sauce. We're using two different flavors. We're using tomato basil and we're using roasted garlic. Use whatever it is that you like. It's totally fine. Now, I also have a can of diced tomatoes and a can of tomato paste. I am going to show you why I have these two. And you're probably saying, well, why do you have that and you have tomato sauce? Yes, spaghetti sauce already canned. Why do you have that? I am going to show you why I do. Now, for your vegetables, you are going to need a large onion, a medium green pepper, a lot of garlic. This is probably about 10 garlic cloves. And for spice, because I rather a spicier, savory style spaghetti, I have a half of a jalapeno here. And that's just going to kind of, bring like that pop of flavors. A lot of people use red pepper flakes. I am going to use some as well, but that jalapeno really gives it that extra little kick to it. Now, I know y'all don't see no sugar on here, but I am not a sweet spaghetti type of person. I know that the sugar will balance out the acidity in the tomatoes, but for me, it's too much for me, so that's why I don't. And here we have 3 beautiful fillets of catfish. Very nice. We have 1 box of spaghetti noodles. We have our fish fry. Our fish fry that we will be using to season and batter our fish. Now, this has a lot of sodium in it. It has 620 milligrams of sodium. So be careful if you are going to season your fish with anything that has sodium, because once you put these two together, you will not be able to eat that fish. All right, now what we are going to season our spaghetti sauce with, as you know, these already have a little flavor, so we're just going to kick it up a notch. We obviously have our onion powder, garlic powder. We have some Dano's Original. We have some Italian seasoning. We also have some Italian herb Mrs. Dash. I have a little bit of beef bouillon just to kick it up a notch, and some complete seasoning, and of course some red pepper flakes. And no, I'm not going to put the beef bouillon in the noodles because we are going to use a little bit of that starchy water to thicken up our spaghetti. I don't like watery spaghetti, so if you're wondering on how you can get your spaghetti from being as liquidy as it is, if you use just a little bit of the starchy water, meaning the water from your noodles, it will help thicken that up. So we will only be using some regular white salt and some olive oil to prevent that sticking. So with that being said, first thing, let's head to our noodle pot and quite simple. Come on. To our noodle pot, we are going to add a generous amount of salt. Your noodles need to be flavorful. And when I mean flavorful, I mean it has to have a level of salt to it so that they're not bland. And some olive oil so your noodles do not stick. Now we're gonna let this come up to a nice boil before we add our noodles. And before we go any further, let's start working on these vegetables. Okay, now to a pot, you want to add some olive oil because we are going to fry up our vegetables very quickly. I know you're saying, well, Yoke, why are you using olive oil if your meats are going to get, produce oil? We will drain off some of that oil after it's done so that we can go on with the process. See if this is hot. Yeah. It's not quite hot enough. All right, so as I was saying, we have 1 large onion, a half of a jalapeno, 10 cloves of garlic, and a medium-sized green pepper. This is not hot enough. So we are just going to cook this down just a little bit before I add my tomato paste. Let's turn this up just a little bit. Now we are not cooking all the way through because I am going to fry down my tomato paste because tomato paste needs to be cooked down. If not, it is bitter. Like so. Give this a second to catch up, and then we will add our tomato paste. Okay, now that it's going, we are going to add our noodles in because we have that nice roaring boil going. Because like I said, we are going to use some of this starchy water during this process that we got going on here. So we're gonna cover that up and let that go. Now, to the pot with your green pepper, onion, and garlic, you are going to add about half a tablespoon of, this is tomato paste. We are going to fry this down. We are going to fry this down with our vegetables. And we are going to start building and creating that spaghetti sauce. Okay, so you want to do this before you start adding your meat, so that it's cooked down nicely. Maybe 3-4 minutes of just cooking down. Doesn't need that much time. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's carrying on, ain't it? Let's turn this down a little bit. I want to show out. Okay. All right, so we are going to come back here and continue to give this a nice stir. And then we are going to add in our Italian sausage and our ground beef. Now you over here showing out. Okay. Tend to this pot really quick. That should work better. All right, keep stirring. You don't have to mind it too much. You could, do whatever it is that you want to do while you have this cooking down just a little bit. Then you want to go ahead and add in your ground beef. All right, this is 90-10 ground beef. And we also have some mild Italian sausage. If I can get it open. Oh. That mild Italian sausage. All right. Let's have some. Make sure you take your paper off. All right, so now we are going to combine these two nicely and start seasoning up our meat. So I have created a little crater in the middle of my vegetables because I want to season this now with some onion powder, some garlic powder, some complete seasoning, we're going to add in some Dano's Original, some of the Mrs. Dash Italian Melody, as well as some Italian seasoning. Okay, now, don't worry about too much too much measuring at this time. If you know that you're just, being very light-handed, you can always go back and taste and add more if you need it. And that was my beef bouillon that I added last. So we are going to give this a nice stir, and we are going to get everything combined before we add our tomatoes, our diced tomatoes. And if you see, we're not creating too much oil either, so that is good. Get all of that straightened out the side. Now, this is how we are looking over here. We have a little bit of oil at the bottom. It's nothing to be too alarmed about. So, okay, so now that we have this probably about 3/4 of the way done, I am going to go in with my diced tomatoes. You know what? Let me pour this liquid off. Getting rid of the liquid because I don't need anything else to make this one. Okay, 1 can of diced tomatoes. Add that in. Get you a nice stir going. Incorporate it nicely. Look at those pretty colors. Okay. Let's go ahead and add in our first jar of spaghetti sauce. This is roasted garlic. Now, I like a hearty spaghetti, so I like a lot of meat. Very saucy spaghetti sauce. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a second. Our second one is tomato basil. And I am going to take the time now to add in my crushed red pepper. About that much. No, let's go a little bit more. That's too much yolk. Okay, let's say about that much more. Okay. Now we are going to let this simmer. Give it a nice stir. You can start tasting, making sure your salt is okay if you wanted to add anything else to it. If you are a sugar in your spaghetti type of person, this is the time to go ahead and add your sugar so that can cook down in your sauce. And so far we are looking really, really good. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit just so that I can get a boil going, and then I'm going to turn it down. And we will tend to this in the next few minutes because we got to get these noodles out of the water. Now I let my noodles boil for about 12 minutes. That would be al dente because you're going to add them back into heat, so you do not want to overcook your noodles because they will be soggy. At this point, you should have already tasted your spaghetti sauce and make sure it's up to your liking. If you have to add anything, make sure that you do that now and, you know, season it up. So, our noodles. Oh, it's too small. We are going to drain our noodles. This little thing here is a game changer. But before I do that, as I was telling you, to help thicken up your spaghetti sauce, I am going to just use 1 ladle of this starchy water. Actually, I'm going to use 2 of the starchy water. And I'm going to just continue to let that cook down. Let's give that a quick little stir. And the starch in that water will help to thicken up that sauce. So I'm going to drain my noodles. Get them out of that water pretty quickly. Anything. Now, are you a mixed spaghetti or do you add your sauce on top of your noodles? I just add my noodles to my sauce. Slam bam and be done with it. All right, let's head back to the stove. Now we are going to add our spaghetti into our sauce. Let's see if I can make this happen without making a mess. And it's hot. Let me grab one. Add your spaghetti in. And while we were getting ourselves together, I went ahead and added some peanut oil to my cast iron skillet so that we can fry up that fish. Let's give this a stir. Get this all nicely incorporated. I'm gonna need this. Good does that look? Okay. Let's get this nicely incorporated. Now, since the fish fry is so salty, I feel like I need to add something, but not add something. You get it? So I'm gonna taste that and see what that tastes like, and see if I can just get away with that by itself. Oh, my hands are wet. So here we have our 3 beautiful fillets of catfish that I am going to, now I did taste this Louisiana seasoned crispy fish fry. It does have, it is a little salty, but not, it's seasoned, it's not salty. But I can taste the Lawry's in there. It feels like it just needs a little bit more Lawry's, so that's what I'm going to do. I am just going to lightly dust some Lawry's seasoned salt on the fish, very lightly on both sides. Now I'm using this parchment paper, so when I'm done, I just ball it up and put it in the trash. Lightly seasoned, very light. Okay. Now, with my stir fry, not stir fry, fish fry, I am going to coat my fish. Nice coat on both sides. Now you can opt to put this in a bag and just shake it up, but we are going to do it this way. You can do it how you wish, whatever's more comfortable for you. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just flip this over. And you're just going to repeat the process depending on how many people you're feeding with your fillets. Just make sure it's all coated evenly so that it can look pretty when you put it in that grease. Okay. Like so. Give it a little tap. Press it in just a little bit so you're not losing it all once it hits that hot oil. If I didn't mention, I am using peanut oil. I'm using peanut oil because peanut oil can take a lot more, or it's better for deep frying and stuff like that. So that's why I chose peanut oil for fish, or that's why I use peanut oil for fish, I should say. Oh, we got a little, let's fold that over and put some fish fry in there too. Like so. So it's nice and pretty. Yeah, our grease looks like it's about ready. All I'm doing now is just folding that in that half really quick to get that fish fry all in there. You don't have to. It's personal preference. Okay, so now that your fillets are nicely coated, shake off the excess, and let's do a quick little test. We are looking good. And add that to your hot oil. We get 2 in there, so I am going to add our second one. Slowly drop that in. Turn that down a little bit. Oh, there's my mess. Get that off the edge so it's not splattering out of that frying pan. Give that a few minutes on one side, and then we will get ready to turn that over. Okay, now once you drop your fish, do not bother it until it's time to flip it. You don't want to lose any of your fish fry on your fish. Let's give that a flip, and we are going to let that go for another maybe 3-4 minutes. Now I do have my cooling rack ready. I do not want to put my fish on a paper towel or anything of that sort because I want to keep all of that fish fry and not lose any of that on a paper towel. Now that our fish is nice and golden brown and crispy, we are going to take this out of the oil and let it drain on my cooling rack. Get as much as that off. Fish does not take long to cook at all. Now I am going to add my third piece. Slowly into the oil. And we are going to let that go. But while we're waiting on that, we might as well just go ahead and start tasting this food because I'm ready to eat. Now, a question for you while I'm dishing my plate. Now, is this something that you eat together or you just eat it separate and it's in the plate so you just eat it? So am I supposed to take a bite of spaghetti and a bite of fish or how does that supposed to go? All right, so let me get me a nice helping of spaghetti. Set this aside for a second so I can get me this spoon. And put some more of this sauce on it. Like that. Okay, so we got our spaghetti. Oh man, y'all already know it's Yoki's kitchen, not the perfect kitchen. My plate don't look too nice and pretty, but that's all right. We eat. Okay, and I am going to get my fish. Let's take this one right here. Now, question for you. Oh man. don't like how that looks. But anyway, does it look legit? My fried catfish and spaghetti. Does it look legit? Let me know. Drop that in the comments. We are going to taste this. I know what the spaghetti is going to taste like, and I know what the fish is going to taste like, but how does it pair together? Let's take a bite of spaghetti. It's legit. And our catfish. Nice and flaky. Crust is crispy. Ooh. Y'all might be on to something. But I can't put my finger on it. I can't tell you why it goes together, but it go together. I can't say the fishiness of the fish and the meatiness of the spaghetti. No, I can't tell you that. I can't say that. But it goes together so well. If it wasn't so darn hot, I could probably eat it together. And let you know. But, wow, it's good. Hold on, I'm trying to get a piece of fish before I swallow this. Yes. Fish and spaghetti go together. Wow. Yoke Gang, listen. Why y'all didn't tell me about this sooner? If you have not yet checked out www.yokegang.com, but you know what? Before I say that, I do not have a TikTok. I do not have a Telegram. I do not have a WhatsApp. I do not have those funny messaging apps and all that stuff. I do not have it. Come on, guys. Please be wise. Please be wiser than what you're being. Every day, if I don't get 2-3 messages, I'm not standing here in front of this camera. Please do not respond to those accounts. Please do not respond. Again, I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you at that point. I'm sorry that it happened, but please be careful. Okay, so, but I do want you to check out www.yokegang.com. Pick up a t-shirt, pick up a patch, support the channel. Thank you so much for what it is that you already do as you're here watching this. And if you have not yet joined the Yoke train, make sure you join that train. That train is getting ready to pull off. Yoke Gang, listen, this is great. This is so good. I wish I could share, but I'm hungry, gotta eat, and y'all already know I love y'all for life. Peace.